This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. It's a game!
Hey you, my name is TomSka Ridgewell, and I miss you. I really do. I miss conventions, I miss meetups, I miss seeing your little faces, and I miss seeing your big faces. I miss the whole range of your face sizes. In a couple of weeks, it will have been a year since I got to do an event, and the only thing I've met in that time has been some donkeys. And don't get me wrong, the donkeys were great, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same as waking up at a stupidly early hour for me, so like 7 a.m, trudging down in the freezing cold to a convention center, standing there all day as my feet go numb, meeting you, taking photos, signing things, hugging. I love it, and I miss it. So I thought I'd do a little rambly video where we look back at conventions that I have gone to, and I can share with you some of the wholesome things that have happened, some of the weird and awkward things that have happened, and also just generally give you a behind-the-scenes look at the world of conventions and meetups and stuff, because it's my channel and I can do what I want, so there. But before I get into it, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Yes! You know what Raid is by now. It's a free-to-play, a mobile or desktop game where you summon little fighty champions, you upgrade them, you assemble a team, you make them cut their way through dungeons and bosses. I'm normally put off by action RPGs because I just find them too lore-heavy or number-crunchy, but Raid is pretty accessible and just easy to pick up and play whenever you want to kill some orcs or elves. Mostly elves. I really hate elves, okay? They're always upgrading it and adding new stuff. If you've played the game before, they've recently added something called the Doom Tower, which has 120 floors of enemies and 12 bosses. Can I beat it? No. No, I cannot. But maybe you can. You're welcome to try. If you haven't played the game before and you click the link in the description, you'll get the new Void Champion Bulwark, or Bullock, as I feel like it should be pronounced, 50 gems, an XP booster, 3 energy refills, and an Ancient Shard. Did any of those words mean anything to you? No, they didn't, because you haven't played the game before, but you can find all your freebies in the inbox here. That's just my phone. That's just my phone. Here. So click the link, play the game, stay at home, protect the NHS, skate fast, eat ass, save lives. Where was I? First convention I ever attended was back in 2007, and it was an MCM Comic-Con. MCM standing for Movies, Comics, and Media. So MCM Comic-Con has comic in the name twice. It's a very good name job. Good name job. I went down there with a bunch of friends from school and didn't really know what to do. I didn't have much of an independent taste back then, so I just went around and picked up everything that was free. This was before the economic recession the next year, so there was a lot of free stuff, and I picked up mostly posters for animes that I had not and still have not watched. What is Naruto? What does it taste like? What is the Bleach? Do you drink it? I don't know, but I covered the walls of my bedroom in all of it, and they just let that happen. The world just let that happen. I had the weebiest bedroom ever, despite having never watched an anime. I don't know why I'm like this. I went to a few more conventions in my teenage years, and like a semi-supervillain origin story, I slowly came to hate it, if I'm quite honest. It was a very loud and stressful environment. People were screaming memes all over the place, and shit was expensive. And the worst part for me was meeting creators or celebrities whose work I liked, because it always just left me feeling awful for a number of reasons. Either because they'd be behind a paywall, and it was just this way of quantifiably saying, like, you are not worth their time unless you are paying for it, which as an adult now I look back on that and I'm like, yeah, you know, these people are here to make money. This is an extension of their job, and if I'm just there saying I like your stuff, then I'm just kind of, I guess, in the way of their primary source of income at the moment. But at the time, I hated it. I once got turned away from a meetup queue because I hadn't bought anything to sign, even though it said the meetup was free. And that was just such a crushing moment for me. And when I did meet people, be they other creators, webcomic artists, animators, actors, or other YouTubers, they'd often be like kind of just sit down and not really. I just felt like I was in the way. One of the last conventions that I actually just went to as a fan to walk around and be like, wow, was San Diego Comic-Con in 2010, and it was amazing, but it was a lot, and I could definitely only do that once because there were so many Americans there, just so many. Who would have guessed? Just all over the place. But I met Tommy Wiseau of the room. He asked if I wanted to go out and have a drink with him, which was very strange, and I couldn't because I was only 20 years old, and that kind of held back a lot of the trip. But from those conventions I went to, and from observing other people as the years have gone on, I have learned a list of tips which I will now share with you for if and when we ever get to go to conventions again. Number 1, wear comfy shoes. Ugly foot arch supporting sneakers. Just don't go there wearing Converse or flats or high heels. Don't do it. No one cares. They're not going to be in any photos, and you're just going to hurt your feet. Number 2, pack a lunch, food, and water. All of the food and drink there is going to be hard to get and extremely expensive. And you know what you're going to put that food in? Number 3, a backpack, or one of those like old lady pram trolley things. Those would probably be great because not only do you need to carry your food around, but also you need to carry everything you buy around. And some tables aren't going to give you bags, and some are going to give you bags that are very small, and you're going to become over encumbered very quickly. 4, bring cash. Bring a lot of cash. Probably better to bring more cash than you need because cash machines are few and far apart, and the queues for them will be hilariously long, except you won't be laughing at the time, but I'll be laughing because I'll be looking at you saying, they didn't listen to number 4 of my convention tips, which was to bring cash. Number 5, don't spend that cash, not on the first or maybe even your second lap of the con, because believe me, you're going to do a couple laps, and it's best that you scope out the things you like, make an informed decision after you've seen everything. Otherwise, you're going to buy all the things you see in the first 5 minutes and then get 10 feet down and see the same thing cheaper or something else you want more, and now you don't have any money. You know what you have to do then? You have to queue up for the cash machine, and as we have established, that is a bad time. Number 6, get a hotel room. Yes, they're expensive, but book well in advance and share it with a bunch of friends, and it may just be affordable. And a hotel room is a place where you can go and drop your stuff off. It's a place you can go and rest. It's a place where you can go to the toilet, because if you thought the queues for the cash machines were bad, the queues for the toilets are even worse. And also the toilets are clogged and full of poop. Every time. Every single time. And also, it's a place where you can change your costumes and sleep. You don't have to travel all the way home. As soon as it's done, you can rest. Oh, you can rest. Number 7, don't be afraid to ask for photographs. If you see someone in a costume or a cosplay you like, just walk up and say, "Excuse me, could I take a photo with you or of you?" And if they say yes, do it. And if they say no, don't do it. But just be polite, say thank you. Maybe you'll make their day. Maybe you're the first person who recognizes them, but that's what they're there for. And finally, number 8, don't bother trying to vlog your trip. Don't do it. Every single convention vlog looks exactly the same. It's 2 to 3 minutes of shots of someone waking up, getting in a car, getting on a train, walking up to the event, queuing for the event, and then it jump cuts to the end for them to go, "So I kind of forgot to film everything because I was having so much fun." Just don't bother trying. Just don't bother. Anyway, when I finally returned to conventions, it was to be behind the safety of a 6-foot table. And it was a table that I was sharing with a couple of my friends, Chris and Ed, repping the channels TomSka, Slow Mo Zovo, and Ed's World. 3 of us behind a 6-foot table seems doable, but it was absolute chaos. We were in the middle of an area called Comic Village, because that's just where ordinary small creators rented tables. It got out of hand pretty quickly. We were more popular than we expected, and there were a lot more of you than we expected. And very quickly we started choking out the businesses around us, which caused a couple of people to move, and pretty much everyone else to hate us. And hate us, they did. I only found out a couple of years ago just how much my name was dirt in the Comic Village. Not just for choking out other businesses, but probably other stuff. I think a lot of people just really don't like me in general. We did 3 different shows at the Comic Village, each time getting further and further towards the outskirts of it, so we didn't screw up other people's business so much, but it was a very makeshift setup. We had poster banners made out of broom handles and duct tape. We were selling things that we printed ourselves, badges that we had pressed ourselves, comics that we had stapled together ourselves. It was an amateur setup, but there were still a lot of people that wanted to meet us, and it was awesome, and it was just some of the most fun I've ever had, going on that little adventure, crashing at my friend's place and waking up in the mornings and selling things with them, and just the laughter and the memories and going out to the pub afterwards. It was so much fun. It really can't express just the sense of camaraderie and giddiness that we felt, because people wanted to meet us, but also we're hanging out. It was just a wholesome and good time. But every single show we would have issues with security. They would come up and tell us off because we would have queues that would go on too long, that would just snake out into the wilderness of the convention and wrap around other people's tables and choke out their business or create tripping hazards. And they hated us. So we moved out of Comic Village and started getting booths together, which were more expensive, but at least had a bit more space, but would still choke out other businesses. Eventually we started going to separate booths as our respective brands grew. And finally, the organizers of MCM just caved and said, all right, we're just going to give you your own area. We're going to call it VidFest or some variant of that. And there will be a dedicated just space for you people. You people? What do you mean, you people? YouTubers is what they meant. And that was cool, but it would also sometimes place us in just some terrible places, because we would be put at the least valuable area of the convention, basically, always tucked into a corner, sometimes facing a wall. And to all the retail workers watching this video that have ever worked the Christmas period and therefore been subjected to the same 10 mind-numbing songs on repeat, I want you to know that I feel you, that I see you, but that you have no idea what true suffering is. One year, I was placed in the arse end of a convention next to a Game of Thrones photo booth, where it was just an iron throne that people could take a photo on, and this booth was blasting the Game of Thrones theme on repeat for 3 10-hour days. They were playing it before the show opened. It was playing after the show ended. And you're probably thinking, oh, boo-hoo, Tom, you had to listen to a 2-minute, 3-minute song a few times. But no, you shut the fuck up. You don't know. Because this wasn't the full version of the theme song. This was the 30-second version of the theme song on repeat, just forever. I did the math. During that weekend, I listened to that 30-second sample 3,600 times. And the next time I had to hear that song was when I watched season 8 of Game of Thrones. So the pain is real. So in case you've never been to one of our tables, I'm going to explain how we set things up. So we take about 2 or 3 tables, and we have some big posters behind us that have the price lists on, just massive A0 posters. And we also have those same price lists on little A4 things dotted around the tables. This cuts down around 10% of people asking us what the prices are, but you know, every little helps. We'll have shelves behind the crew where we have all of the pre-folded t-shirts, so they can just reach out and go, would this fit? You want to wear this? You just wear it. And we also have a TV that is playing all of the Astor movies on loop, along with a big banner that says Astor movie. Because you know what? People aren't coming up to my table because it says TomSka. They're coming up because it says Astor movie, and they go, oh, that's the thing. I remember that from when I was a little person. Oh, someone actually made that and I can meet them? Oh, that's cool, I guess. So a lot of the traffic to our table is just from people going, oh, okay. But also on the table, we'll have plushies, we'll have books, we'll have posters, and then of course there will be the meet and greet queue, which will go back and forth and round and round. We'll try and make it as space efficient as possible, which has varying degrees of effectiveness, but most importantly, the final bit of it will run directly in front of the table in what we call the impulse area, where there'll be someone there going, are you sure you don't want a book or a poster? And usually people have been in the queue long enough seeing people get things signed that they're like, okay, I'll get a book or a poster. Like I say in my main video, you absolutely do not have to pay to queue to meet me, and I genuinely will not be like, oh, you haven't bought anything, but we do make every opportunity available to buy something. Because we live under a capitalist society and money is pretty fucking banging. Another factor about having our own special area set aside just so that our queues don't get out of control is that they're sometimes off the books, so we're not actually officially on the guest list. So we have arrived at events before, with our hand trucks full of merch, and the security have just not let us in because officially we're not on the guest list. And sometimes we've had to break in to conventions, and you'd be surprised how far you can get in a high-vis jacket while pretending to be on the phone or just carrying a heavy box. Doesn't work as much anymore now. They've gotten smarter, and I also legally cannot recommend trying it. But yeah, we've had to do crimes. To give you an idea of just how long the queues have gotten before, the queues to meet me, to meet this, why, they have reached 2 to 3 hours before, which is like the length to go on a Disney ride. And it's just humans queuing to meet me. I think British people just have a disease that makes them want to queue and they don't care what's at the front. We'll just join the longest queue we see. We're just kind of like that. We've had to do so many different things to manage this before, from like putting duct tape markers on the floor to having our own crew or security from the event just try to corral people and manage it. To speed things along before, I've trialed having a crew member at the front like take the phone or the camera and like take the photo to try and make things more efficient, or have someone else roll up the posters after I've signed them. But after years of progress, I've found that the easiest way is to just do it all myself, to do the meet and greet process solo. So when someone comes up, I'm doing other subtle things with my hands. I'm taking the things they want signed off them while still talking, and I'm like, oh, do you want a photo? And I take the photo and I do it myself. And sometimes I'm even kind of subtly guiding people with my arms and sending them on their way after we've done everything that they wanted to do, all in like one little fluid dance. Like, oh, we do this and then we take the photo, then I give you the hug, and then off you go. You are free. And I'm pretty good at it. And I've got to admit, I'm masterful at rolling posters. Nice and tight. So tight that they won't even bend if you wanted to. Perfect bonking tubes. That sounds like a penis. Now, the way that I actually do meet and greets, how I manage myself during them is, first of all, I stay standing the whole time, be it a 8 or 9 hour long convention. I will be on a little mat that my friend who used to work at Starbucks got me that just helps keep my feet from completely falling apart. And I'll also be wearing very functional but probably kind of ugly sneakers with arch support. I don't take breaks. I will only leave the table to either go to the toilet if I need to, or to go to a panel. And it's usually on my way to those things that I will eat lunch. And if I don't have a panel, or if I don't need to go to the toilet, I'll just eat lunch at the table. I'll wait until someone comes up that I've met before, that I'm already familiar with, and I'll be like, hey, how you doing? Do you mind if I eat some lunch, since we've already met like 3 times and this isn't like a big, special moment for you? That's just kind of like how I will handle it. When I'm on the toilet, when I get like that brief sit-down break, usually I'm on Twitter checking my indirects to make sure that everyone is having a good time. Sometimes the way that I would find out if I wasn't doing well, if I was coming off as too tired, is people would tweet like, I met TomSka, but he seemed really tired. And I'll know that it's like, okay, time to like step it up. One time I was on the toilet and a dad and his son came in, and it scared the shit out of me because the dad was like, oh, so you just met TomSka, huh? And I was like, oh God, they're going to be mean. And the kid he was with was like, yeah, it was really cool. And he was like, yeah, he seemed really nice. And I was like, oh my God. Oh, I'm so relieved. All the while I'm picking my nose furiously because I try not to do it at the table. And I also have this thing when I'm doing a meet and greet where if someone says the words, you seem tired or you look tired, that's when I start drinking Red Bull. I will always have a stack of Red Bull next to me, and I will try to drink them very slowly. I don't want to have more than one every 2 hours, and I'll just have little sips, but just that little boost of energy just keeps me, alive and engaged and exuding excitement, because such an important part of doing a meet and greet is showing people that I'm excited and I'm engaged with them. And it's not natural for me. Like, when I'm actually being myself, I'm very lofty. You know, I'm more kind of like, hey, I'm just chilling and mumbling, whatever. But when people meet that, they think it means that I'm bored or that I'm not interested in them. So I have to put on this heightened version of myself to seem sincere. It's a weird thing, but I have to be insincere in a way to seem sincere. In that, like, I'm meaning everything that I'm saying, but I'm presenting it in a way that is not natural for me. And the times when I have done conventions where I've just been my normal self, a lot of people have walked away thinking that I'm really rude or that I'm bored of them, and that's not what I want people to feel like. Hey, let's take a little break and talk about some of the awkward stories that I couldn't include in my video because it was either too long or because they were just a little too awkward. One time, a guy came up to me at a meet and greet. Oddly enough, that's how all these stories are going to go. And he had a lot of scars on his upper torso, which looked identical to the scars that I have as a result of having severe acne when I was younger. And I just excitedly, without thinking, pulled up my sleeve and was like, oh my god, we're like scar twins. And he was like, haha, yeah, cool, I had cancer. So that was awkward. One time while I was doing my meet and greet in France, a couple came up to me and just asked if I wanted to join them for a threesome. And I'm like, in my heightened convention mode, like, hey, how's it going? What's up? And they're like, would you like to have this threesome with us? In Ménage à Trois? Can I sign that poster for you? Voulez-vous une signature dans le poster? There's a familiar pair that I have met at maybe a couple dozen conventions. I see them a lot. I'm very fond of them. One year, the daughter came up to me and said that her mum wasn't doing very well and probably wouldn't be coming to any more conventions. And I was like, oh no, that's really sad. Send her my love. And the next day, the mum actually did show up and she said goodbye. Maybe I was misinterpreting it, but very heavily implying that she was going to die. That threw me for a loop. And I was like, it's been lovely. Big hug. I'll see you around. And they left, and I then tried to continue the meet and greet. And like a parent that's just got some horrifying news but is staying brave for their kids, I met a couple more people after that. Like, hey, Timmy, how you doing? You want to get a photo? And then I had to just go, sorry guys, excuse me for 1 second. And I just turned around on the spot and just cried at a wall for like a good 30 seconds. Just let it out. Composed myself, and then just turned back and like, hey everyone. And that was a lot. That was very intense. So the next year, when she comes back up to the table right as rain, like nothing ever happened, I was very confused. Just very confused. And you guys, you're probably both watching this video, and just, I thought you were dead. I thought we said goodbye. I cried a lot. One of the most crushingly awkward things that ever happened to me was a guy queued up, we're going to call him Steve, and he said, hey Tom, it's me, Steve, from school. And I was like, hey, sorry, you're going to have to remind me. Sorry, it's a convention, my mind's very fuzzy, and that's very true. He's like, oh, we had this class, and this class. And I was like, give me something more, I'm going to get it. And he was like, oh, I knew this person, and this person. And I'm like, yep, I remember all them. And he's like, oh, we did this together? And I'm like, I remember that day. And this went on, and on, and on. And it had reached the point where I could lie and be like, Steve, yes, of course I remember you. So I just had to go, I'm so sorry. I have completely forgotten you. You're gone. You're not in there. I'm sorry, Steve. Ironically, I couldn't give you his real name if I tried. Now, it took a long time for me to figure out how to do meet and greets for me, how to perfectly balance my inappropriate irreverence with family-friendly formality. And there were casualties along the way. At one of my earliest conventions, I made a joke at a girl about her being on her period. And she punched me in the stomach. And it was on the last day of a 3-day con, and I threw up. So, don't do that. Don't make that joke, but also don't fucking punch people in the stomach. When it comes to meet and greet, I kind of have to approach every single thing with this stock personality, this stock level of energy that I will then adapt as the meet and greet goes along. The more I get to know someone, I can cater like how to actually act around them in a way that they're gonna respond to. I'm like an algorithm that's learning, so I will start by being like, hey, how you doing? But then if the person is like, oh, I'm pretty okay, then I will come back down to their level. Or if they're like super excited, I will come up to their level. Or if they want to talk about something quite serious, which happens a lot at meet and greets, I overshare a lot. So when people meet me, they also want to share. And I get that. So sometimes people will come up to me and I'll be like, hey, how you doing? And they'll be like, I'm actually really depressed. And then suddenly I have to go, aha, okay, that's okay. Now I'm listening to that. And it is an interesting balance. But one of the things that I actually also have to do when I am in meet and greet mode is I have to assume that every person I meet is autistic. So, let's explain what the hell I meant by that, shall we? Autism, or ASD, comes in many different shapes and sizes. That is why it is called the autism spectrum disorder. And I need to clarify that I am in no way an expert or an authority on any of this, so I apologize in advance if I get any of this wrong, or if I use the wrong terminology. But I feel like it's very relevant to talk about this in relation to my experience and how I approach conventions, because it is a big part of it and has a massive impact on how I approach the conversational, I suppose, elements of a meetup. It was actually at conventions where I first became aware of autism beyond it just being some insult that shitty people on the internet used. And that was because a lot of people at conventions would interact with me differently from, I guess, what I was used to. I mean, truth be told, if I were to make a video like The Madness of Meetups 9 or 10 years ago, it would look very different because, at a point in my life when I wasn't really aware of the autism spectrum and how that can affect an interaction with a person, a lot of the stories that would be considered weird or noteworthy would be pertaining to that. And I absolutely do not want to make a video where I'm going, get a load of that guy, because that would just be bullying. And that would be deeply unfair. So when I came to writing The Madness of Meetups, one thing I was making sure of doing is, like, if there was even a chance that this story, what makes this story funny, could be pertaining to that, it was just thrown out. It just wasn't worth it at all. So people don't just walk up and say, hey, I'm on the autism spectrum, although sometimes parents or friends may do it for them. So unless I get the very strong impression from what I have observed that someone is not on the autism spectrum, I speak very plainly and clearly when I'm meeting someone, and I emote very clearly. So like one thing that I will try to avoid is sarcasm, because sarcasm can be taken very literally and backfire just absolutely spectacularly. So, for example, I was once introduced to the cousin of one of the people working at my table, and I just jumped into joking around, and I was like, oh yeah, they talk about you all the time. God, they keep telling me how much they hate you. Just like, as I'm just joking around. However, that cousin was on the spectrum and absolutely did not get that I was joking and being sarcastic, and it really hurt them. And going forward, I was like, oh, I cannot run that risk, basically. So on top of being very, clear, literal, straightforward, I'm also often asking for consent a lot, before I take something off someone to sign it or take a photo, and especially before any sort of physical interaction. So if I'm going to put my arm around someone for a photo, I say, do you mind if I put my arm around you? And especially if I want to go in for a hug or a handshake, I, say, would you like a hug or would you like a handshake? And there have been plenty of occasions where I haven't done that, and it's really upset someone, really overwhelmed them. They have not liked their space being invaded. But it's not just a matter of aversion to touch. There can also be difficulty in reading body language and interpreting the unspoken intent of a physical gesture. So, for example, what is meant as just a friendly hug could potentially be misread as a romantic expression or an invitation to an actual friendship beyond the unspoken boundaries of our usual parasocial relationship. I mean, this doesn't just go for people on the spectrum, so it's generally good practice, I found, but it's something that I try to be very cautious of, and sometimes as the day goes on, I'll get a little sloppy and I'll forget, and there have been just many awkward moments like that. And the thing that I think is most personally significant to me to be aware of is anticipating brutal honesty and observations, because if I'm not prepared for it, I can and have misinterpreted it as sort of spitefulness or rudeness, when in actuality it is not that at all. So for example, I've had people come up to me and near enough verbatim say stuff like, "Hey Tom, are you fat because you're sad that your friend died?" And I used to be super taken aback by stuff like that. You know, people will say, "Do you miss Ed?" Or, you know, "Why are you so fat now?" They're not being spiteful, they are just asking a question. And nowadays, because I'm anticipating stuff like that, I can just fire back really quickly with a very neutral response, like, yeah, I do miss him, yeah. Would you like to get a photo, by the way? And, you know, that's because, you know, on YouTube, on Twitter, I can apply word filters and get trigger warnings for things that would really upset me, but at a meet and greet, those things aren't going to happen. Part of the reason why I, you know, approach every single meetup anticipating that the person I'm meeting may be on the spectrum is not just to protect me from upsetting them, but also to protect me from getting upset myself. That being said, having my guard up that much has probably meant that I have missed times when people have genuinely been trying to upset me. You know, people, when they've said stuff like, "Your videos aren't as good anymore," and I've replied with, "That's fine, yeah, some of them aren't." Or they've said that, you know, like, "Oh, you're not as popular as you used to be," and I'm like, no, that is objectively true. You know, they may have been trying to actually get under my skin, and it's not until they say something, you know, deeply outrageous and offensive, like, "Well, Luigi's never going to be in Smash Bros," that I'm like, "Hold on a minute here, buddy, you get the fuck out of my queue." Random funny story, I once had a girlfriend queue up in a horse mask, and only when she got to the front of the queue did she take the horse mask off, and it was like, "Oh shit, that's my girlfriend," and we kissed and she went on her way, confusing the ever-loving fuck out of everyone behind her in the queue. The next guy who came up was like, "Please don't kiss me as well," and I was like, "Too bad, motherfucker," and he screamed. So I kind of broke all of my rules there about, you know, asking for consent. I didn't kiss him, to be clear. They just grabbed his head. So another interesting thing about conventions is just how much they can cost sometimes. You know, by the time we've rented the table and booked the hotel rooms and the transportation and paid the crew and most importantly, bought all of the merch, we can have spent over £10,000 before we've even started selling and making money. You know, it can take 2 of the 3 days of the convention before we even turn a profit. And that means that we're sometimes just dealing in large wads of real cash that are getting counted and put into a bag as we go. And at one convention, when I was counting up the day afterwards, found that we were just missing around £2,000. And there was just no way for me to figure out when and where that money went missing. You know, did it go missing at the table? You know, was it stolen at the after party where we had a couple dozen of the other sellers, you know, in my office, where technically someone could have reached into my bag and stolen the money, and there was just no way to figure it out without, you know, either throwing out every friend I had or, you know, going on some crusade, which would likely still not end in me finding the money. So the way we just changed the system was now I just have a lockbox, which has all the money put into that only one friend knows the code for. So if money goes missing again, there's only one person that I have to kill, basically. And because we're dealing exclusively in physical cash, for the simple reason that I do not understand how to make the card reader work, we end the show with a lot of money that I then have to count and take to a bank to pay in. And one year, after a particularly good take, I thought it would be very funny to throw a fistful of powder in my face before going to the bank and just pretend I was just a drug dealer. And it went very badly, because of course it did. They were like, "Where did you get all this money?" And I fucking panicked and I said, "Merchandise." That's slang for drugs, but it's true. We were selling merchandise, and they're like, "What merchandise?" And I was like, "My own." So they called security of the bank, and I almost got arrested, and I deserved it. every bit of it. So I've been focusing almost exclusively on MCM Comic-Cons, and to be fair, they are where we do a lion's share of our shows. 2 in London every year. There's also Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow. There's been some international ones. These are the ones where we go, where I meet the most people and also make the money. But there are other types of shows as well. There are YouTube conventions, VidCon, Playlist Live, Summer in the City, and these are a whole different breed of weird. They're just a different thing altogether. So the main difference between YouTube conventions and comic conventions is that I'm often not at a merchandise table meeting people all day. There will be separate meet and greets that will go on for only a couple hours a day. And these are often called, and I hate this so much, grip and grins.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Because they'll have usually their own photographer, and literally they want a fan to come in, put your arm around, grip, grin, take the photo, they leave. And I have rejected these every single time. I basically meet the organizers on the day and I say, I'm just not going to do it like that. I'm going to take at least 30 seconds to a minute with each person. And what I will do is I will look at the queue, and I'm very good at subconsciously looking at a queue and figuring out exactly how much time I can give each person. And sometimes I even send the photographer they have home, because I'm like, look, just let me take a selfie. Like, this is how I'm comfortable with it. This is how I want to do it. And it's weird. And there are different types of meetups that they have as well. They sometimes do communal meetups, which are the weirdest things. I once did a meetup where it was like me and 10 other creators and a room of about 200 fans, and they had to meet all of us. And we all had radically different channels. Like, there was me, and then there was Dodie. You may know who Dodie is. We've worked together, I've had her in some of my videos, but our audiences are very different. And someone who's super excited to meet Dodie probably could not give less of a shit about meeting me. So we were just at this crazy meetup where everyone would have to meet me. And I just wanted to stand up and say, guys, there's probably only like 10 people who are here just to meet me. Let's just go in this corner and hang out for the next hour. We could just do that. And the organizers just wouldn't let me. And so we just had this excruciatingly awkward meet and greet for like 2 hours where I would just be wasting people's time before they met the creators they wanted to meet. Because it wasn't just Dodie, it was like 9 other people that were all radically different channels, like prank channels, beauty channels, lifestyle channels, and then I'm just there as their first port of call, being this. So while I do genuinely enjoy elements of YouTube conventions, they ultimately have this very Beatlemania, Bieber fever vibe that I hate so much. It makes me super uncomfortable. This is where you've got, people screaming their heads off and chasing floppy head boys. It's strange. It's very weird, and it's very isolating, I guess, because you've got security who won't let you go outside. One year I was at Playlist Live, and I was in my hotel room, and I kept hearing all these like high-pitched screams, and I look out my window, and there's just like this gaggle of girls pinned behind this fence just screaming at YouTubers as they walked in. And I don't know why. I think I was just so sick of it that I just went down and just sat with them, and I was like, what is this, guys? I need you to explain this to me, because it's making me uncomfortable and I want to understand this culture. And I ended up having a really lovely time. It was definitely one of the weirdest things I've done, hanging out with a bunch of teen girls. But, I got to know their little world of fandom. And, they were like this self-sustaining community where they were ordering pizza and feeding each other and taking care of each other. And it was actually very sweet in a way. And one point, Dan and Phil walked into the hotel, and they were like screaming and calling them over. And so the boys came over, and they were like grabbing photos. Just in the middle of the group is me. And I just got a selfie with Phil. I was like, surprise, motherfucker, I'm here. And he was like, what the fuck are you doing? And we got a selfie. And it was weird. It was a very weird thing, but it really helped demystify the part of the convention that was upsetting me the most, I guess. So for me personally, great learning experience. So that brings me on to the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the truth that these days, conventions actually can make me feel really, really lonely. And that sounds crazy because I'm standing there and I'm meeting hundreds of you and you're all great and you're really cool. But because I have this mode that I'm in where I'm having to play it safe and I'm having to essentially reset myself every 60 seconds, I can end up not really making any hard memories. And while I'm doing that, I'm looking around in the queue and I'm seeing you guys goofing around with your friends, or I look over to the other tables with my friends who are smaller creators and they're goofing around like I used to 10 years ago, and I get incredibly sad. You know, even at YouTube conventions, I'm in my hotel room and I'm not allowed to walk around because security will stop me, and the only other option is to go to some shitty creator party that I really don't want to do. And at the end of big selling merchandise conventions, I'm so tired by the end of it that I just have to go home, whereas everyone else is having fun and they can go out and have a drink, and I get real sad. One of the main things that happens when I meet people these days, because I've been doing this for so long, is people use the past tense a lot. Like, people will come up to me and they will say, oh, I used to watch you, or oh, I remember you, or oh, I grew up watching you, and everything. And while that is an honor, like to have been that part of someone's life, that is amazing. But the amount of it that is happening, I kind of long for the day where I am unfamous again, where, you know, I'm officially done in this town and I'll go to a convention and I'll sit behind a table with a couple of friends and we'll try really hard to flog some shitty comic we've made and no one will care and we'll have a good time doing it. Is that crazy? I think that sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. I was actually going to quit conventions in 2021. I was going to go really hard last year. I was going to do, you know, all the MCMs. I was going to do Summer in the City. I was going to just do every show. And then I was going to just stop for the foreseeable future. I was going to make myself scarce, basically. I was going to definitely take a year off. And then I was going to not do cons as much as I used to. But because of recent events, you know, it's kind of having a, you can't fire me, how dare you approach. And now I want so badly to get back to it, to do conventions again, to meet people again, because yeah, I miss you. I miss meeting you, I miss hanging out with you, and I miss all of the things that I hate about conventions. And I really look forward to when we can do it again. And I don't know when that's going to be. You know, even when we're all vaccinated, when will this go back to normal? I mean, the XL, where I do all my MCMs, is currently a hospital or vaccination site or morgue. I don't know. But they ain't hosting comic cons there at the moment, that's for damn sure. But that all said, my God, do I miss you. I really do. I miss meeting you. I miss taking photos and hugging and shaking hands. I love handshakes. I'm so sad that the pandemic has taken that away from us. And I can't wait for the day that we can meet up again. I think that all those things that I struggled with, I will have gotten over by the time we're able to do this again. By the time we're all vaccinated and things start to return to normal. And who knows when that'll be. I really do. I really do miss you, and I miss everything. Even the stuff I didn't like. Ugh. Until we meet again, my friends. Thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next video. TomSka out.